When Pokemon Go burst onto the mobile scenes, it pretty much created a cultural phenomenon that I don't think many people were expecting. It was an absolutely huge deal. Everyone was talking about Pokemon, downloading this game for their iPhones or Androids, and going out in droves and collecting all of these different types of Pokemon in their area. There were huge meetups and things like that. It was just an absolute massive thing, and it really showed that the Pokemon brand was still alive and well. Well, obviously companies will want to capitalize on things like that, and we've never seen a mainline Pokemon game on a Nintendo home console before. So when it was announced that Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee were coming to the Nintendo Switch, a lot of people were curious. Obviously using the Go branding in this means that there's going to be some sort of mobile integration, but would it be the actual home console Pokemon experience that people had been looking for? Well, I've spent about 15 hours with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, and I could definitely say that this game is different, but does that make it a bad game? I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan in the world. I definitely used to love to play Red and Blue back in the day, but the last mainline Pokemon game I've actually played was Pokemon Black on the DS, so it's been quite a while for me, but I've been playing this game a good bit, and I wanted to share my thoughts with this game with you guys. So is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu a good game? Is it a game worth picking up, or is it too different that it makes it maybe bad in some sort of ways? Sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you check out the pinned comment in the comment section down below to have a chance to win a $100 eShop gift card, and let's talk about Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu.
Hey, RGT 85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards! So when picking what version of Pokemon Let's Go I wanted to pick up, I picked up Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu because I like Pikachu more than Eevee. That's really all there is to it. But I decided to pick up the version that came with the Pokeball as well because I thought it looked really cool and I thought it seemed like an interesting way to play the game. We'll talk about how you actually play it with the game, but just from a perspective itself of an accessory, it's kind of neat admittedly. It has a button on the top that you can press, it lights up, it has an analog stick that you can move around, and you can push in the analog stick. You can actually play the full game and pretty much get the same experience by using just the Pokeball. You can also shake it to sort of bring up menus and things like that. There's a lot of other things you can do with it as well. You could store Pokemon in here, and of course there is the ability to access it with Pokemon Go, the mobile game. Now admittedly, I deleted Pokemon Go off my mobile phone a long time ago. I do not plan on revisiting it, so we're just going to talk about Pokemon Let's Go as an actual game, not sort of the integration with the mobile game that it includes. Now as far as what Pokemon Let's Go is, it's obviously a remake of Pokemon Yellow, which was a very popular game and a game that I feel like a lot of people are familiar with. You'll remember a lot of these Pokemons, you'll remember a lot of these environments that you go to visit, and you'll remember a lot of things from sort of your nostalgia of these games. Now, if you've never played these games before, it may be a bit foreign to you, sort of how basic everything is. Now, the main thing about Pokemon Let's Go that makes it so very different is the way you actually capture Pokemon, of course. Now, there's a bunch of different ways to do it as far as control schemes are concerned, and it's kind of interesting just how different all of the control schemes are. Because where in a mainline Pokemon game you battle Pokemon, you make them weak, and then you throw your Pokeball at them, hope to collect them, you don't really do that in this game. It's definitely like Pokemon Go. You see Pokemon pop up on the map when you're in the top-down view, and you can just run up to them, and there's no random encounters or anything like that. You see every Pokemon that you encounter, and you can decide whether or not you want to capture it. Now, in order to capture the Pokemon, you either take your Joy-Con and sort of fling it at the screen, you use your Pokeball to fling it at the screen, or if you're in handheld mode, you just sort of use the analog sticks to access the area and press A to throw your Pokeball. Now, as far as difficulty is concerned, I noticed that there was a bit of a controller difference between all three schemes. I felt that using the Joy-Con itself was probably the most inaccurate. I threw a lot of Pokeballs and they just sort of went all over the place. When using the Pokeball accessory, I felt it was a bit more accurate. But actually, in handheld mode, it seemed to be the most accurate. That definitely seemed to be the easiest way to play this game as far as capturing Pokemon is concerned. Now, you actually have to capture a lot of Pokemon in this game because whenever you capture Pokemon, it levels up all of the Pokemon in your party. So it's very important that you're capturing Pokemon over and over and over again. There's actually chain bonuses where if you capture the same amount of Pokemon in a row, you start to build up a chain bonus and all of your Pokemon gather more experience and things like that. You also have a better chance of getting more rare Pokemon in an area if you keep building up your chain. And honestly, that could be a bit off-putting for some people. I got kind of bored capturing the same Pokemon Pokemon over and over again, just because, I don't know, it feels like there's not really any rhyme or reason to it. Of course, there's a ring that surrounds the Pokemon when you go to capture it. It'll be green if it's going to be easy, and then of course work its way up to red if it's going to be hard. But I felt like sometimes it just felt completely random, and I guess that's sort of how Pokemon is, even when you're battling Pokemon in more traditional Pokemon games to capture them. But I just felt like there wasn't any rhyme or reason to why I would capture some Pokemon and then not capture other Pokemon. But it's imperative that you do it because it's simply the easiest way to level up your Pokemon. There are trainer battles, and there are a lot more trainer battles than there ever have been to sort of make up for the lack of a battle system when you're capturing Pokemon. And I definitely appreciate that because I like battling Pokemon. I think it's one of the more fun aspects of the game. And when you're actually battling Pokemon, it works just like any other traditional Pokemon game does. Of course, there's always differences where some Pokemon are more effective against other Pokemon and things like that. It's a basic Pokemon-like experience, but I do like the sort of flair that they included with some of the special attacks. Things like Thunder look really cool with Pikachu. Things like Seismic Toss look really awesome as well. There's some cool effects going on within the game when you're playing in the battle mode area, and I do like that. And I like the fact that there are a lot of trainers. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, couldn't you just battle all these trainers and sort of skip capturing all the same Pokemon over and over again in order to level up your Pokemon? And I guess you sort of could have, but you really get more experience by capturing Pokemon than you do by battling trainers, which is another thing that's kind of strange in my opinion. You would think that some of these trainers who are really difficult would be more difficult to battle and you would get more experience than just capturing a Pokemon, but that's not necessarily the case. As far as the differences between Pokemon Let's Go and Pokemon Yellow, as this is a Pokemon Yellow remake, they did include some new cool stuff that I actually kind of like using in this game. One of the things I wasn't too keen on is the whole dress-up system. You can dress up your character and dress up your Pikachu, or Eevee if you pick up the Eevee version, and give them all sorts of different accessories and things like that. You also have to sort of take care of them by petting them and playing with them. I don't know, it's okay, I guess, you know, it's kind of weird in my opinion. It's something I didn't really do all that often. It was sort of just something I thought of from time to time. And the Pokemon clothes are like really expensive. I'm more into buying, you know, higher Pokemon balls and potions and things like that than necessarily just playing dress up with the game. One thing I do like though is with bigger Pokemon and legendary Pokemon, you can actually ride them around on the map. And that's a really cool thing. One thing that they really did well with Pokemon Let's Go is sort of get the scale of these Pokemon down to size and really make them feel either, you know, massive or really small. Something like an Onix, just riding around on an Onix through a town or through a battle system is just really cool to see. It's definitely something very impressive and something I really like. Now, as far as visuals are concerned with this game, they spruced up the visuals a bit. I don't think it's necessarily pushing the Nintendo Switch in a hardcore direction or anything. I think the colors look really nice. It's definitely nice to see Pokemon sort of in the HD generation, but you can definitely tell that some 3DS assets were used for this version of the game. It's definitely not a hardware pusher in any sense of the word. It's definitely more of just an upscale 3DS game, but I think it looks nice, it looks clean, and like I said, some of the battle effects look really cool. The cutscenes actually look really nice as well. That's probably the best looking part of the game in my opinion, are just the cutscenes and things like that. There are also online battles in the game as well. I did a couple online battles, I got my ass kicked, but I did want to check it out just to see what it was all about. I would say the online stuff is very minimalistic though. I would have liked to have seen a more robust online system with this, but I feel like they're saving that for the next Pokemon game, which is obviously going to be a more mainline Pokemon game. All in all though, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu is a very different experience. If you're expecting a traditional mainline Pokemon game, I think I've made it pretty clear that this isn't going to be that sort of game. But does that necessarily make it bad? I don't think so. As someone who hasn't played a mainline Pokemon game since Pokemon Black and really grew up loving the original Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow, I really enjoyed this game. It's fun to revisit the Kanto region and see all these different creatures and Pokemon that you're familiar with, see all these towns that you're familiar with, and all these events and story elements that you're familiar with, but brought into an HD era. It looks really clean, it plays really well. I think it plays a bit better in handheld mode, which is very strange to me because you can't use a Pro Controller with this game or anything like that. So if you're playing this game, I think the best sort of experience is either with the Pokeball itself or in handheld mode, because it just seems more accurate. Using a single Joy-Con, I don't know, I never really felt like I was in control of my Pokeballs like I was with the Pokeball itself or using it in handheld mode. All in all though, it's a definitely different experience, but I don't think it makes it bad. It's not the huge AAA Pokemon experience that people were hoping for, but that's coming next year. As far as like a little appetizer for what you're going to get in the Pokemon universe, I think Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu is actually a pretty fun game. It's a bit slow at the start, it's definitely a bit tedious to to have to capture Pokemon over and over and over again to level up, but once you sort of get used to it and get into the groove of the game, I think you're going to have a pretty decent time. It's definitely a game worth checking out, but definitely an appetizer for that big AAA Pokemon experience that many people are expecting to come to the Nintendo Switch next year. So those are just my thoughts on Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I think it's a solid game, but I think there could be some things improved upon. Let me know in the comments section down below if you've been playing this game, and if you have been, whether or not you've been enjoying it. Do you want to see the Go series continue as sort of its own offshoot, or do you think that they should focus on more mainline Pokemon experiences? You gotta remember, there are a ton of Pokemon offshoot games, so this could easily just be another one of those games like we've seen over the years. And thank you for watching this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel as well, and as always, I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.